Welcome everyone. Today I am going to discuss about variables. So the first thing that might pop into your minds after listening the term variables is mathematics. No, not really. I'm going to discuss variables of programming language. So quite often that not, what happens when you start learning a programming language, you get very much confused with the various terms that are used in the programming language rather than on learning the language itself. And one more thing I'd like to add, when you start learning a programming language, your end goal should be to gain the ability to solve problems with that programming language at the end. Because learning a programming language gives you no help. It's of no use until and unless you are able to solve problems. So this entire video series is targeted towards that, to develop logic that you can use in the various programming language to solve your problems, and the terms you need to know before going into a programming language. So at the end of the day, whatever you might learn, be it Java, be it C, be it C++, you have to know the terms, you have to develop the logic, so get on with it. So let's discuss what are variables. Well, I'm showing you two bottles here. So this is nothing related to a programming language, right? So I'm trying to develop an analog here that variable is nothing but a container. Here, the bottle of water or the bottle of wine are nothing but containers. In a programming language, you need to store the data in certain containers before performing operations on them. After you are done with the operation, you need to store the result. Then again, you need a container. Likewise, see, you have got a bottle of water and a bottle of wine. Basically, both of them are bottles, right? So both of them are containers. But depending upon the liquid you are storing, you have two different types of bottles. Likewise, in a programming language, you might get different types of variables, like an integer type variable, or a float type variable, or a boolean type variable. Uh, that might sound gibberish to you, but let me tell you. Suppose you want to store a number, you have one type of variable. You want to store a series of numbers, you have a type of variable. You might want to store a name or an alphabet. You will get different types of variables. So end of the day, all of them are containers based on the type of item you store in it. Now going forward, there are different classification based on utility of variable. I told you about storage, right? Now with advancement of programming language, there is object-oriented programming language like C++, Java, Python. That is not entirely dependent on the data you use. So again, kitchen items, you'll finally draw a line here, line of connection. Don't worry about it. So think about it. You want to add two numbers, A and B. These are not numbers, you suppose, right? A and B are two alphabets. Actually, we name variables in programming language using alphabets, right? Suppose you have got a container A, you have got a container B. You want to add both of them, right? So you are going to store numbers in them and print the output in number C, right? So based on this, so what are you doing? Based on this example, what are you doing? You are just storing the number in the variable. That's it. Nothing else. You are doing an operation somewhere else. You are storing the output somewhere in another variable. That's it. Your one and only task of the uh, variable is to store. Now with the with the object-oriented programming, you get multiple features. Like, suppose you have taken a input from a user. Suppose while adding two numbers, you have taken an input from the user, like a number 2. Now you want to know more about the number 2. Is it odd or is it even? So if it's a object-oriented variable, you get some pre-installed utilities with it. Like, other than storage also, you can do lot of things with the package itself. It's not a container. You can do more functions than that. You can check if the number is prime, if the number is consonant, if the number is even, if the number is odd, if it's a whole number or if it's a positive or a negative number. So like the slicer dicer in front of you. This is a storage for cut vegetables. you can store cut vegetables in that slicer dicer, but other than that you have got equipment that you can rotate around to slice, dice, do whatever the stuffs with the vegetable. On the right hand side you have got a plain old container where you can store. So this draws the line between two types of variable. One is primitive type of variable that only deals with storage. Then there is object-oriented variable that has got a class associated with it, that is a lot of functionalities. We call it methods, and the plain old storage also. So that's about it all about variables. Thank you. So next day we are going to dive into logic development and probably around control statements. Thank you.